So hello and welcome to our third module already of learning One Shopping Cart. And we are going to start diving into One Shopping Cart starting today. So make sure you got pen and paper handy in case you have some aha moments or some things to jot down. You will have obviously access to the recording as well as the PowerPoint presentation. And there are lots of goodies as well in the, the library. And I will be adding to that as the course continues. So quick agenda, we'll do our usual housekeeping bit. We'll take a moment to review Module 2. We will look at setup and configuration today. Now, here's how Modules 3 and 4 usually play out, because there is so many options in the setup and configuration of One Shopping Cart. Sometimes we get through all of it. So in other words, sometimes we'll get through all of Module 2 today, sometimes we won't. But don't panic if we don't. We still have plenty of time and you won't be missing any material. We're just going to have to kind of double up, if you will. So if we don't complete all of Module 2, no problem. We'll finish that up as we roll into Module 3. And then we'll have our homework and our Q&A. And so this is where you're actually going to start getting your hands dirty, if you will, by using One Shopping Cart. So as mentioned, I will be adding to the library some additional documents. There are documents in there today. I will probably tweak those like I always seem to do, but feel free to download whatever you'd like to work with to start. And then I'll remind you again at the end of the course, you might want to re-download some things because I'm sure that I'll have updated them a bit. We have the private Facebook group, so make sure you pop in there if you have any questions. I'm in there daily. I try to check in to make sure I answer any questions that you may have, so feel free to post in there if you're a Facebook person. Otherwise, you can send us an email at help@techymentor.com. We'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. And then also the practice sandbox, the login details are at the bottom of the library. Now, when you log in, sometimes it'll ask you to change the password. If you'll not change it, and just let me know, I can go in and change that for you. One Shopping Cart forces the password to be changed, I believe, every 90 days, and that's not an option. They basically say you have to change your password or we won't let you log in, okay? And I'm thinking we're getting up to that point, so. All right, so Module 2, we talked about Project Management 101, all the different things that we need to do to kind of lay out the project when we are rolling out or implementing One Shopping Cart from the ground up. And then taking from all the meetings and the planning sessions, we come up with an action plan, taking that action plan and actually putting it into your task management system, and then starting to work in the system, okay? So with that, let's just go ahead and start talking about setup. So in this instance, we are actually talking about setting it up from the ground up, okay? And there's a monstrous questionnaire in the library that kind of goes over everything that you need to know in order to set it up. So when you go to set up maybe just a piece of One Shopping Cart versus the whole thing, you're obviously going to want to tweak that document. I just made one very big document so you have the ease to tweak as needed. So that will be the kind of the setup questionnaire that's in there. So when you look at it, don't get overwhelmed. It's because it has everything you can think of in there. Okay, so we're going to go through the account menus, and I'm just kind of giving you an idea of what is in here. So we are going to dive into each one of these in detail today. So this is why I'm saying you might want to have pen and paper handy. Even if you're just listening to the recording, might help to take some notes. So we're basically going to start at status summary and work our way down. We're also going to go through the setup menu. So with that, let me bounce over to my One Shopping Cart, which is here. And as you can see, this is the sandbox, which I have already logged into. Now, the only thing that is not working in this sandbox is obviously the payment features, right? Because I don't want to add my payment information to this shopping cart that everybody else has access to. So you're not going to see any kind of orders and obviously the reports, but you can certainly look at the reports and get a gist of what the reports will give you. They're pretty self-explanatory, but they're obviously going to show as 0 because we don't have that live working payment gateway. Other than that, everything else works, okay? You also need to realize that there are different versions of One Shopping Cart, okay? I've had One Shopping Cart, how long have I had it? I don't know, 3 years, I think? 3 years, I've been using it for 3 years. Anyways, they keep changing it. And the one thing you need to know about One Shopping Cart is they're not very good about letting you know when they're doing some updates to the system, right? Someday you'll log in and things look different. That's kind of the way they work. So that you're not going to get a lot of notice a lot of times when they make changes to things. You'll get noticed after the fact. So my point to you is if you log in some days and screens look different, it's because they've made changes to it. You're not going crazy. They also have an online support tool, which is not very good in my opinion. So, Infusionsoft, if you know Infusionsoft and Ontraport, they have great help. One Shopping Cart, not so much. So I'm just kind of giving you the lay of the land. Now, I use One Shopping Cart day in and day out. That's what I use for my products and services. So I know what I'm talking about because I actually do use it in that instance. So just keep in mind, if you log in, things change. That's the way it works. A couple other things real quick. The menus at the top here, if you notice up here, it says store. Now, my One Shopping Cart account that I bought or signed up for several years ago was before they introduced the storefront. Okay, and we're going to go through the storefront in a later session. But I just want to say, if you log into a client's and you're like, wait a minute, the store is missing. And that's because they have an earlier version. Like I have an earlier version, which I can't add the storefront to my version, even though I have the professional version, because it's structured differently. I'd actually have to close my One Shopping Cart account and reopen it in order to get the storefront. And that's not something I need. So point to you is that when you log in, your menus may look different. You may have every menu that's available, but when you click on it, it may not be something that's in that current subscription. So if you were going to, excuse me, look at One Shopping Cart and you were going to look at their payments, so to speak, not payments, what do I want? Packages, sorry, can't click. So here's their current packages, okay? And it starts at 34, goes to 99 to 249. And this basically tells you the difference. So obviously the plus version doesn't have affiliate management, okay? So that's really the major difference here. But you also have limited templates, okay? You also are limited to 500 products versus unlimited. And then here's the ultimate. So my point to you is, again, just make note that you may have multiple shopping cart clients, which I did, and they all had different versions. The one that I have isn't even on here. I have the premium version, but it's a different premium than here because I've had it for so long. So just kind of a mental note to yourself. And you can check to see what version people have. So that's where we're going to start. So like I said, if you don't have pen and paper, I suggest that you might want to grab it because there's so much to go through here. And we'll get started. So first, we're going to start by clicking on this little icon of this person. And what this pops up is some additional information. So this will tell you the merchant ID. The merchant ID is key because that's how it ties you to your payment gateway. And your payment gateway is how you get paid, right? So your merchant account is important. So that's where you can find the merchant account for yourself or for your clients. The number of contacts, which would be the number of people in your database. Now, if you notice, it says 48 up here, but you've noticed 9 people have been removed. So when I see here on my dashboard, it says contacts. I have no new customers, no new contacts. Now, the difference between customers would be somebody bought something versus somebody signed up for something would be a contact. So your total mailing list would be the available that you can contact. And then this would be the amount that has been removed. Okay, so your dashboard here gives you shortcuts, and we'll look at that a little bit more, but just telling you that. Your contact limit, right? How many people you can have. The number of products that you currently have, the package. So if you want to know what package a client has or a subscription, this is where you can find out easily. It tells you the package. You have the store premium, for instance. Whether it's active or not, when it expires, and I pay for this monthly, so you can see that it'll come out on the 6th. Your percentage of use of the media library, any email credits, and any queued up email, which would be any broadcast that we're waiting to be sent out. Okay, so this little guy gives you a lot of great information that you can just quickly take a look at any time. So with that, we're going to click on My Account. And like I said, we're going to kind of just go through this one little step at a time. So starting with status summary. This just gives you kind of a status summary of the type of account that you have. So you can see your merchant ID again, your package. So basically the same thing I saw here on this little icon, but summarized a little bit differently. And then from here, you can look at your billing history. You can edit your billing information, your public contact information. You can renew or close your account. You can also review your billing history here. So now you have to know that the Sandbox has specific, darn dog, let me close my window here, sorry. Bad enough you can hear the birds, now I got the basset hound behind me baying. when it comes to One Shopping Cart, you can actually create user IDs, and this is what I've done, and I've allowed specific access. So you guys will not have access to my billing information for obvious reasons, or billing history. So my point to you is this: when you log into the shopping cart with one of the login IDs that I provided, you will have access to everything except for billing information and being able to manage the account. So you won't see exactly what I see here because I'm actually logged in as me, but just so you know, okay? So that's what that does. Then you have your API, and an API is how you connect One Shopping Cart to other things. Like you can connect it to, your merchant ID, or not your merchant ID, your merchant account. You can connect it to a third-party tool like WordPress or other tools. So an API is how you connect two platforms together so they can interchange information. So if you've ever used Hootsuite or something like that, and you allow it to post into social media, that's an API that connects the two, okay? So you click on your API settings, and normally when you're needed to provide an API, the platform will say, I need your API key. So for instance, if you were trying to attach WordPress to One Shopping Cart, which there is a plugin for that, but it's very old, so I don't recommend that you use that. But a lot of times it'll say, well, I need your merchant key, I need your API key, and this is where that key comes from. And it's good practice to generate a new key every so often, so that way if somebody accidentally gets hold of your merchant ID, I keep saying merchant ID, I didn't mean merchant ID, your API key, then this way if you refresh it, it'll break any links that you've not authorized, okay? So this is something that will be asked for if you're connecting One Shopping Cart to another platform. Otherwise, it's not something that you're going to be using. Okay, and then the API manual. Now, this is something that you would give to somebody who is doing any type of coding. So if you have somebody creating a third-party tool for you, and you want it to connect directly to One Shopping Cart, an API has to be created. So this information that you see on this page, this would be for your developer or your programmer. They would need this information to create the connection with an API. Most tools that you buy that connect to one another or you use already have the API language created. This would, again, be if you wanted to do it yourself. So unless you're a programmer, this is probably not something you're going to need, but at least you'll know what it is, okay? So that's API. So you've got settings and manual. Renew, upgrade, this would be just to renew or upgrade your account. You can see here that there are additional things that you can upgrade here. You can select a package, you can upgrade, all that kind of stuff, okay? Contact profile. Now this is important, okay? Because of the CAN spam law, you have to have an address that shows up at the bottom of the every email that you send from One Shopping Cart. Every single email that you send out has an address, a street address, or a PO box. Now, some places won't let you do PO boxes. Some only require a street address. So my point is that you need to be very careful, because what happens is when you set up One Shopping Cart, it automatically defaults to the address that you put there. And a lot of times it might be your client's home address. And the last thing your clients want is their home address on the bottom of every single email that goes out from One Shopping Cart. So what you would want to do in that instance was you would want to come under here and you want to go to your contact profile, and you'd want to change this information here. So obviously the contact name, but the address, this information right here, if they have a PO box or a business address, that's what needs to be stored here. Different than the billing address, because your billing address may be your home address. But my point is if you don't change this here, it shows your billing address. And clients are like, well, why is my name showing up at the bottom as well as my home address? So make sure that you change that and then make any changes, save it as you need it. Then down here, you can also create addresses, okay? And these are custom signature, no, did I say, I can't talk today. Customer or custom signatures for the bottom of any emails that you send. So this again has to do with the CAN spam law, okay, which basically means you can't just start sending people emails unless they've actually opted in or have given you permission. So permission can be verbal, like if you're at a networking event, someone can say, yes, I'll be added to your list, or they can actually go through the step and sign up on your website or some other type of opt-in page, okay? So this custom signature file will allow you to put something at the bottom of every email that goes out. So you can see here that I have this saved custom signature, and you can see that it's been declined. Everything has to be approved by One Shopping Cart. So that's why it says here, please allow 24 business hours of approval for a custom signature. So I can just go down here and delete this one real quick. Okay, now what I would want to do is I could just put, and you guys are welcome, this is the sandbox, so you're welcome to do this. So you would basically put in here a signature, and then any notes, and then when you hit save, watch what happens. Okay, it says pending, status is pending. So within 24 hours, I can come back in here and look and see if it's been approved. I'll also get an email from them saying whether or not it's been approved or not. And if it's been declined, then they'll tell me why it's been declined. But you can create multiple custom signature files, and all it allows you to do is just customize what shows up at the very bottom of any outgoing email below your signature. So it says here, our system appends a signature, your outgoing autoresponder and broadcast email. Okay. So that's what that is. Okay, then you have your billing profile, which will give you all your billing information, right? And I've actually locked you out of that piece. Oops, I didn't mean to click on contact billing. And then you have access management. And this is where you can set up roles and users to be allowed into your One Shopping Cart account. So you can see right here, Mickey, Donald, Daisy, and Minnie. These are my 4 Sandbox account logins. So these are the ones that you're going to use to actually log into One Shopping Cart. Okay, and each one of these has a specific role. So depending on the shopping cart that you have purchased, the membership that you have purchased, subscription, whatever you want to use, depends on how many users that you can have. So here's a great thing for you to know. A best practice is whenever you want to access a client's One Shopping Cart, I really recommend that they give you a login instead of giving your information or their information directly to you. So my team doesn't have my login. They have their own login, right? I created a login called Virtual Assistants, and they're the one, they all use that same login, because then I keep them out of the places that I don't want them to be, like my billing information. Not that I don't trust them, but it's just easier that way. I can, as they learn more about how to use the system, I can give them more and more access. So a good thing for your clients to do is to create they can either create a generic login like Virtual Assistants or, VA or whatever you want to call it, or they can create one specifically like for Mary if they want. Up to you. Okay, so I actually have these 4. Now these are the users. You also have different roles. Okay, and you can have the basic roles, which tells you account administrator, accounting, affiliate manager. So each one of these roles comes with specific permissions. So you can see that the account administrator has full access, but does not have access to credit card numbers in the order section or to the billing profile. So for my team, this is the one that they get. They get the account administrator. But there are other roles that you can give to people that will only let them go into specific things, like marketing. You can go to analytics and sales reports. You can go to products, contacts, and email sections only. The designer can only go into broadcast templates, but can't send a broadcast. Product manager can only, works in the product, digital, media, and third. So there are different types of roles that come with One Shopping Cart. Now, I don't recommend that you edit the roles. I recommend that you would create a new one. Like I have one here called Virtual Assistant. I can click on edit. And I give it a name. And then notice I have all this access information here. And you can, expand and condense this. You can open and close it. So I can say, what do they have access to, right? Can they look at orders? And you notice there's not a checkbox in all of these. Can they look at products? They can add a product. They can do discounts. They can look at all of this stuff. They can add a contact, but they can't import or export a contact. So this allows me to go through and actually pick and choose what I will allow someone to do in my shopping cart. They can't do anything in affiliates. They can't do anything in setup or my accounts, so on and so forth. Okay. And then I would make any changes and save. Okay. And I'll click here to go back. So if you want kind of a one-off, if you will, role that's not accounted for in any of these, you would simply hit create new and give it a name, and then you would simply determine what roles they have. Okay. Now, depending on the membership program that you're using within One Shopping Cart, depends on how many users you can have, right? And then lastly, you have your access log. And this will just give you a log to see when people have logged in the last time, right? And you can see nobody's logged in lately. Okay, let's see, I can say this month. Nope, nobody's logged in this month for, how about last month? Nope. So I can see if anybody's used any of these 4 to log in and have a look around. Okay, also I can edit edit any of these very easily. Okay, there's their contact profile, and then I have the ability to assign roles. So we'll be looking at roles next. When we get to actually working in the contact profile, we'll talk more about roles. So that is access management. Okay, so you have managed users, then you also have managed roles, and then you have a log that shows you. Now this is my account owner. I'm the account owner. This is my login username, but obviously my password is blocked out. Okay. And then last but not least on my account is the affiliate resources. And this just is your affiliate resources. So if you're going to promote people or want people to purchase one shopping cart, you can give them an affiliate link. So you'll get credit for it. Excuse me, I don't mean to sniff in your ear, but this is basically your promotion link to one shopping cart. So you could add this to your website if you wanted. And then these are just different banners that you could add on your website if you wanted people to go ahead and purchase that, right? And you get 10% commission for referring other people, right? And it's lifetime, right? As long as they're paying their subscription and it's active, you get continuous referral fees. So that's under that. And then you've got referral history. So I've had any referrals on here. Obviously, this is my sandbox. You have reports, and then last but not least, you can tell a friend, which you can send them an email, and it will send your affiliate URL along. Okay, so that's my account. And I'm going to mute you guys for a second because I have to sneeze. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. It's beautiful weather here, but man, allergies come with it. So any questions on this little icon, all of the different options there, or anything under my account? So this is more kind of information for you, but good information to know. Probably the biggest takeaway for you today is to make sure the contact profile has the right address, so it doesn't show their home address if that's the case. So contact profile. Access management would be another option for you. All right, so we're going to start under setup. Okay, now setup is huge. Each one of these menus has several different options, and remember, depending on the membership that they have, depends on the menu options that you see. Okay, so my menus are a little different under setup than this one because this one has the storefront and I don't. So again, you're going to see some differences. So just pay attention and you'll know that it's a different membership program if it has different options, okay? All right, so setup, we're gonna start with orders. And if you have any questions, please holler, happy to answer, because I'm just gonna tear through these one line at a time. And if something doesn't make sense, please let me know. Okay, so we're gonna start with orders. So this would be an order that's placed through your shopping cart, right? So everybody purchased this course through my shopping cart. It's the same thing. I have one shopping cart. So this is what happens when an order is placed. Oop, I see I have a question. Hold on just a sec. Excuse me. Oh, Phoebe, I'm sorry. I can certainly make your screen bigger. Here, let me zoom in. Oops, maybe too much. How's that? I know I got a new computer and unfortunately I have a very large screen, so I have to realize that if I make it full screen, then it cuts the right side of my screen or the left side of my screen up. Is that better? That I zoomed in so it's a little bit bigger? Thank you for the reminder as well. I do forget. Okay, do you want me to take it up another notch here? Is that better? I know I'm cutting off the menu up here, but that's okay. Is that too big or is that okay? Because I want to make sure you guys can see it because I don't want you to have to squint. That's never fun. Even better. Okay, so that's good. All right. And if you lose part of my screen, holler, okay? All right, so let's talk orders. So first of all, when an order is placed, you want to be notified. Now, depending on how you process orders, like I use PayPal for mine. So I get an email from PayPal and I also get an email from One Shopping Cart. So basically, what is the primary destination? Orders at. And the reason I don't send this to Susan at is because I already get enough email in Susan at. So when you're talking to clients, when you're thinking about helping them implement One Shopping Cart, I would definitely recommend a separate email for orders. So it's not filling up their inbox. So I would say orders at or support at. I mean, you could choose, I just choose orders because it makes sense. So every time I get a new order, it goes to orders at, and I can see how many orders come in a day. Now, maybe you don't want to be notified, and that's okay too. So you would just remove that. Okay. You can have a secondary destination. So you have more than one. Now, the primary destination is usually the client, right? A secondary destination is usually a fulfillment house. So if you have a physical product, and I keep saying you, but I mean your client, or maybe even you, has a physical product. They have a DVD, they have a DVD series, they have a book, they have some type of physical product that needs to be, put together and shipped, kind of like what Amazon does, right? That's a fulfillment house. And not all your clients will have that. I did have clients that actually had physical products. So the secondary destination in their shopping cart was the fulfillment house's email address. So for instance, Vervante was one of the fulfillment houses that I had worked with in the past because they worked with clients. So Vervante, their email address was orders at Vervante, and that would automatically ship them an email when somebody purchased a product. And when you're working in a fulfillment house, a lot of times they give you a SKU, right? A SKU number. And each product that they package and ship for you has a unique SKU number. So what happens is every time somebody purchases something, they get an email of that, but the only ones that they're really going to pay attention to are the ones that have the SKU numbers in it, right? Because you may sell a bunch of online products. Well, they don't care about that. So they're only looking for the ones that have the SKU, but it's a great practice to just put in under the secondary destination your fulfillment house, and so they get a copy. Now, if you don't have a fulfillment house, maybe you want your VA to know. Maybe your VA houses them for you. Maybe she bundles them up and sends them out for you. So the secondary destination email address can be used for an assistance, an operations manager, or even a fulfillment house. And you would fill that, it's just an email address. You would fill that in there. So primary is usually the client, right? Letting them know that an order has been completed. Secondary would necessarily be a fulfillment house or somebody who needs to also be notified, so kind of like a CC, if you will, of a purchase that has been made. And then the from address is who the orders come from, right? So orders at. So it's the same one a lot of times as the primary destination is also the from address. Now that can be different, but and that's for the people who get emails, okay? Checkout. Okay, so let's talk about autoresponders in one shopping cart. So autoresponders are different in here than they are if you know Infusionsoft or Ontraport. They're different. Autoresponders in one shopping cart they actually serve two purposes, right? They're one way to segment your list. So your list is your list of contacts, right? And you don't just want to have one large bucket of people in one huge list because it makes it very difficult to have specific conversations with specific contacts. Like you're going to talk to your clients differently than you talk to people who haven't purchased from you yet, right? Well, you need a way to divide the list so you know which ones have purchased versus which ones have not. So when you go to send out some communication, you're able to pick which one do you want to go to. So autoresponders are a way for you to segment your list into specific buckets. And I always use the term buckets because that just works for me, but I visualize buckets, right? There's specific buckets in each one of them. And how you divide your list is really dependent on the business. Now, a best practice for me when I worked for many, many clients, especially when I was first starting out learning all this stuff, is that their lists were divided by how clients and prospects got on the list, right? So if they went to an event, there was a specific autoresponder for that. If they sold a product, there was a specific autoresponder for that. If they signed up for a free webinar, there was a specific autoresponder for that. So my point is that it can get really messy with autoresponders in one shopping cart. I won't even have my one shopping cart is very busy because every time I create a new live course, I create a new autoresponder. So you can imagine I have probably 300 or 400 autoresponders because that's how I segment my list. So realize that's what autoresponders are for. They're for segmenting, but they're also for being a true autoresponder, which means they send messages based on a trigger. So when somebody buys something, they get a message. If somebody opts in for something, they get a message. So an autoresponder in one shopping cart is two things. It's a way to segment, and it's also a true autoresponder, which means it sends either a message or a series of messages. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Just so you're clear, as I start speaking to this, I want you to understand what that represents. And if it doesn't make sense, just give me a holler. Okay. So the next thing it's asking me is all about order completion, and you'll notice it's nicely segmented it for you, so you can see the sections here. So you can see here it's notifications. This one's order completion. So check out autoresponders. Now this is only relevant if you have a specific autoresponder for everything that's purchased. And the reason that and this is great if you only have one product or one service, because then you just can create one simple autoresponder for all the products that you sell or all the services that you sell. And you would simply say, okay, whenever anybody purchases, send them this autoresponder. Now for me, because I have different classes that I teach, I don't have one uniform autoresponder. I have specific autoresponders for each class because each class needs to have specific information, right? So you have to realize that when it comes to using this feature right here, it's kind of a one size fits all. And some companies will fit in that and some will not. Okay, so you have to kind of keep an open mind here. So basically, this is a list of the current autoresponders that are in here. Okay, so if you had a specific autoresponder, you wanted to go to everybody that purchased anything from you, would basically, click the button here. Pretty simple. Okay, if you don't and you have specific autoresponders for specific products, then you don't check anything here. Okay, now this filter allows you to filter it so you can see different types of autoresponders, and we'll get into autoresponders coming, but you can actually categorize the different types of autoresponders you have. That's what that means. A thank you URL and a catalog URL. Okay, this is a thank you URL, and a thank you URL is when somebody purchases something, they get redirected to a thank you page. And if you have the store version of One Shopping Cart, which basically gives you a storefront, which is like a little website, right? It can redirect you either to the store or it can redirect you to your website. Now, if you'll notice, this URL says the word store in it. Can you see that? Okay, that means after this purchase, someone's going to be redirected back to my store to this specific page. Okay, now if you wanted them to be redirected to your website, you would simply put your website in here. And I don't even know if that's a true, thank you page. So you can either do it to the store, okay, and a storefront is just a storefront is like a mini website, but it's hosted on One Shopping Cart. It's not hosted on WordPress. And so anytime you see this MCSSL, that is One Shopping Cart. That's their URL. That's a secure website. Okay, and you can also see I have what's called a catalog URL. And a catalog URL is your storefront, which is like a catalog. So I'm just going to copy this. Excuse me. Okay, this is my catalog. So this is my storefront. So can you see this is like a mini website? Okay, it's the store for the Techie Mentor. The benefit to having a storefront is if you have it on a WordPress site, right, then you have two places you have to keep updating the store information. If you go into One Shopping Cart and you update your products and services, you add new categories, you add new pricing, you add new products or services, the storefront automatically creates that for you. It's dynamic. But if you have a storefront and you have a website that has the same information, guess what you have to do? You have to go over and update the website. So you're doing, you're kind of doing it twice. So that's why a storefront is relevant for a lot of businesses, especially businesses that sell, tangible goods that, they ship. So that's a catalog URL. And you can also obviously leave that blank as well. Okay. Allow offline resubmit on a declined transaction. I recommend that you leave that off because sometimes what happens is people will try to purchase something and for whatever reason it's declined. Okay, so that is a declined transaction. If you allow it to offline resubmit it, then it's not going to be tracked in your shopping cart and they may not get the product or service that they purchased, especially if it's a digital, right? Because what happens with One Shopping Cart, which I love, is if somebody tries to purchase something and it's declined, it doesn't send them any goods. It doesn't send them an autoresponder because it wasn't completed. It was declined. Same thing if you allow yourself to take what are called e-checks, and e-checks are they don't clear right away, like a PayPal transaction would clear right away, like if it charges to your credit card. An e-check takes 5 days to clear. And I allow e-checks. And what I love about One Shopping Cart is it won't send out the goods. So if they purchase something from me with an e-check, they don't get anything until I tell them that check is cleared. So you want to make sure that you're not doing anything outside of the shopping cart because the shopping cart is where all of your information is housed. Okay, and then if you track inventory, you would turn that on. So if you have physical inventory that you're tracking, whether your fulfillment house is tracking it, whether it's in your garage or in your office, you would turn that on. Most clients have a digital inventory, which does not need to be tracked. So track inventory in this instance is usually for physical inventory, okay? Remember, it's all based on the type of business. And I've had clients that I actually had clients that had physical inventory, so we did use that, Okay. Now, if you decide to come back and start tracking inventory, you have to turn this on, because right now none of the inventory features is turned on in One Shopping Cart because you told it you weren't tracking it. Okay. So realize this order screen is kind of the starting point for using the shopping cart. If anything changes, you're going to have to come back and redo your setup. Okay. Currency, pretty self-explanatory. And then down here, these are invoice and order receipt customization. You can add some text only on the printable invoice and the order receipt, right? And you could leave these blank. So you can see I've just got some stuff here. No HTML, so no formatting, but it can be very simple. And by the way, you don't have to put anything in here if you don't want. Okay, and then save. Okay, so back up to setup here. So that's orders. Let's look at recurring. Okay, so what recurring means is it's a recurring payment. And recurring can be for a specific duration or for a specific number of times, or it can be open-ended, which means it just keeps recurring until the client cancels. Okay, so that's what recurring means. And so this is where you set up the recurring. Now here's a key to understand. Very important. If your clients are going to do recurring type products or services, you have to make sure that this is set up. So this is one of the things that's kind of at the top of your checklist. And I always set it up even if clients don't necessarily use recurring right now, because that way it's already done. It doesn't go into effect until you actually turn on a recurring product or service. Okay. So best practice in my mind is to go ahead and set it up anyways, because then if they decide to do it, it's already done. You don't have to remember to go back and flip the switch, so to speak. Okay. So setting, failed billing rules. You know, how many times will it rebill it? And the number of days in between. Now, obviously, unlimited is not a good choice because it'll just keep rebilling, right? I usually say 2 is good. And by the way, you can see you have these little icons. If you click on them, it'll give you a little description, right? So the number of times the system should attempt to process a declined payment. So I say 2. And I could say, well, you know, maybe I'll do 3. And then the number of days between rebills is 3 business days, or 3 days, I should say, not business days. Okay. So if I try to process something and it fails, it'll try 3 days later, and it will just continue to loop until it's gone through the loop 5 times. Okay. And then there's something called the customer portal. Now, there is a customer portal that you can turn on, which we're going to get to here in just a minute, that allows clients to log into your One Shopping Cart and actually see kind of when their next payment is due. So it's really for customers who are running on maybe a membership program, and they want to see when their next payment is due. They want to cancel their payments. They want to do things like that. That's what the customer portal is all about. And you can see here in yellow that I don't have it enabled right now. So these are irrelevant. So what this says is if I had the customer portal turned on, clients would be able to view recurring orders and they would be able to edit recurring orders. Now I can easily turn any of these off, right? And again, you've got these little question marks. Okay. And if they're allowing to edit, they can update their billing, shipping, or payment information. So if that's important to you, you would obviously turn that on instead of having to worry about if their credit card information needed to be changed or their billing address changes. You would have to change that. Otherwise, if you turn the portal on, you can allow them to do the same. Okay. Merchant note. So these are notifications. Okay. This just means you get emails. So from the merchant account, what do you want? And this basically says you receive and customize email addresses. So do you want a recurring billing report? Do you want order notifications? Do you want failed? Be careful about sending yourself too much email, because you can log into One Shopping Cart, or your clients can log into One Shopping Cart and see this at any time. So you basically would just check, I just want to know the failed ones, for instance. Now, you obviously get one from probably your merchant account. You'll get one from One Shopping Cart as well. So this is just notifying you if something isn't working when it comes to recurring payments. And then this is customer recurring billing information. And you can actually edit these messages. So these are emails that are sent to your clients, right? People who are part of that membership program. So you can send a credit card about to expire, a recurring order receipt, client credit card declined, receipt, cancellation, update current billing, recurring payments, and then reminder of an upcoming charge. And each one of these, you have the ability to go in and click edit message. And this is what the message says. Okay. And you can change these if you want to. I don't recommend that you do, because it really gives them the information that they need. And by the way, you can always reset to default, by the way, if you actually change those. So I just leave them as is, and then you would make any saves here. Okay. So you can use a custom message, or you can just use the message that comes with the system. So this is all for recurring payments. Okay. So that's recurring settings. Let's talk card options. Now, this is where this differs in the version of one shopping cart. So if you were to look at the card options in my shopping cart versus this one, there's different options. And I will, I can take a screenshot to show you the difference, which I will do. Make myself a note here. Okay. All right, so how are we doing so far? Good? Hopefully you're not overwhelmed, because like I said, there's just so much to one shopping cart. It is a beast. All right. Let's talk about the cart. So show thumbnails on cart items. A thumbnail is just a small image of your product or service, yes or no. A lot of these are pretty self-explanatory, right? It's just a yes or no question. And realize that any of this stuff can be changed at any time. It doesn't have to be done once and then left alone. If clients change their mind, you can come in to setup. Because remember, setup is kind of the defaults. These are the defaults. So what you turn off and on is under setups. If you want to, for instance, I turned off track inventory. If I decide I want to track inventory, I'm going to have to turn that back on in order to see the inventory features that one shopping cart has to offer. So realize that when you're changing the setups, you're also changing the options that you will see later on when you dive deeper into one shopping cart. But they can always be turned off and on over time. Okay. Do you want to show how did you hear about us? So in other words, they could, type in how did you hear about us? Yes, no. So yes, optional, yes, required. Be careful about requiring too much information on forms, because people get impatient. Now they just want to pay and move on. So you could say yes, optional, for instance. Okay, required means they can't complete a purchase unless they tell you how they found you, right? So think hard and long about, do you really want to require something? Show a ship to address. Now, if you don't ship any physical products, do you really need a ship to address? No, because everything is digital. But if you do have products that either you create and ship, or you go to a fulfillment house and ship, then you're going to obviously need the shipping address. Okay. And believe it or not, in that long questionnaire in the library, it has all these questions. And these are things you have to ask clients, because you have to know these things in order to set up the system. And a lot of it may be irrelevant, but that's okay. You still need to ask. And beware of clients getting a little overwhelmed, but you have to explain to them that, look, I want to make sure that I set this up correctly. Okay, show featured products on expanded checkout. So a featured product would mean, if you've ever done any shopping on eBay or Amazon, right? They usually have a featured product of the day. If you buy this today, it's only going to cost you 99 cents, right? It's kind of an upsell. That's what a featured product is. There's also related products. So for instance, if you buy, a book on, having a gluten-free diet, they may also say, oh, here's a related product on recipes for gluten-free. So a related product would just be something that's related to the product that you are purchasing, another upsell. So featured products are usually something that's a daily special, as where related products are related to the current product that's in your shopping cart. Okay, and those are yes or no questions. Okay, these are the labels that will show up. These are the overrides. So you can just remove that and it'll just say featured product. If you want to say something different than that, you would write that in, and then same thing, I could delete that. Otherwise, it's just going to say featured products and related products. Your on sale label, you can say on sale, or you could say discounted today only, right? And by the way, these are user defined. Otherwise, if you don't know, just leave them blank. You can always change them. On sale display savings as a dollar amount or a percent, right? So is it 50% off or $50 off, right? Okay. So now we get into some additional options. Show international designation option on shipping table. If you only ship to the United States, or you only ship to Canada, or you only ship to New Zealand, then you may not want to show international shipping, because a lot of people who ship, they choose where they want to ship to. They may not ship worldwide. They may only ship to certain countries. And so that's what this. So if you don't ship international, or for that matter, if you don't ship at all, no would be the best option, right? Do you have a buyer agreement policy? So this is if you buy any kind of software, or you sign up for any software subscriptions, they always say, you have a buyer agreement policy, which is all the legalese, if you will, about what you're purchasing. Do you have a policy? Yes or no? Again, it depends on what you're purchasing, right? Most clients that I worked with had no. I actually worked with one client that actually did sell software, and so we had a buyer agreement policy for that. So that was a yes. Show quantity breakdowns or breaks pop up with chart contents. This just shows your quantity breaks. So So it gives you a little pop-up that says, okay, you've purchased X number of this, X number of that. Now that's irrelevant if you've only purchased one thing. So you want to either do a pop-up or a URL. Okay, you don't want to do both. And this is just to show quantity breaks as well. So if somebody buys multiple things, you would see that broken down. Do you want to show the coupon field? This is if you allow people to type in coupons, right? To save on products and services for maybe a specific date or period of time for a specific amount. If you turn this off, then there's no coupon code. There's no place for people to offer coupons. I think it's a good thing to leave it as yes. And that way, if you decide to use coupons, it's very easy for you to work with. And then these are just additional options. Request secondary phone on checkout, request a fax number, a second address, a company date of birth, Social Security. So these two right here are huge, right? Date of birth and Social Security, that's confidential information. So you want to make sure that that's something that you truly need in order to process whatever it is that you're selling. Most of the time, that's not something that I ever used, okay? And then once again, you've got yes, no, or yes, optional, or required. Enable email permission in the checkout process. So you would actually put an email in there, and then email, oh, sorry, wrong thing. This is something they just added. This has to do with the CAN spam law. So basically this says it enables them to, you're enabling, or they're agreeing or giving you permission to send them emails. So that's what this is. And then this is the statement that shows up, okay? I give Techie permission to send me emails about new product services and special offers, okay? Email privacy label, you could put something in there, otherwise you could leave it blank. So this tells you we don't like spam, okay? Email privacy pop-up. So this is a pop-up box. So this email privacy pops up. It's a pop-up, okay? It's just a little box that pops up on the screen. And this is the dimensions of the size. And again, if you don't have any email, right, you could turn this off and then you won't have to worry about any of this stuff. It's irrelevant. I would recommend that you leave the size so you can see what it looks like, because you can test all this. And do you want to show it on checkout? Yes or no? And that would be that pop-up. Show comments under special delivery so they could add additional things. Again, if you're not shipping and you don't need to know somebody's size or anything like that, a lot of this stuff is irrelevant, again, depending on the client's, what they're selling. Then there's the comments, special delivery label, special delivery information, if you want to put some text in there, and then the checkout title. And then very bottom would be security, okay? Because I don't have the merchant piece of this active, this is kind of irrelevant, but you could do credit card security text. This is a text that displays on the checkout page linking to the credit card security pop-up. So this would be a pop-up. You can ask for the CVVT, that little number that's on the back of your credit card, the little 3-digit, you could ask for that. When do you purge credit card numbers, right? Do you have a security image verification, that little CAPTCHA? And then if you have a list of blacklisted clients that you're not allowing them to purchase from you, okay? So most of this, some of this stuff is irrelevant, but it's good information to know, okay? Now we've got cart customization. Now this is the shopping cart. Okay, this is what you see when you actually go to purchase something. You know, it's the cart that pops up. This is the customization that you have. So you have two different styles. You have the checkout between a one-step or a two-step process. 2 steps versus, I like the 1 step. It puts everything on one page. So in other words, it's not 2 steps. A lot of times if you have a 2-step process, what it does is it puts everything in the shopping cart, and then you have to click a button to go to another screen to enter your payment information. 1 step puts it all on one page. Right? So that's the difference. I like the ones that, and you can actually look, it shows you the form. This one, so it's the cart contents and then the checkout form. The 1 step is everything on one page. I like the everything. I find anymore that people want to click less. So the 1 step is probably a better option. Okay. And then this is the checkout page display. Same thing. Do you want the default or the expanded? And you can preview this. So this is what it looks like. Okay, so it's got everything on one. So here's the cart contents up here, and then this is the information that they would type in. And then down here, you can add additional information. Like you can add a header and a footer, and it shows you in blue what it is that you're typing in, right? And then you have a general purpose statement that would appear under the checkout form. Okay, this is the contents. Now remember, it depends on your checkout style up here. Your header, footer, And then you have an unsubscribe page that you can unsubscribe. So when people unsubscribe from your list, this is the page that they see. So with this, it says content in here will appear at the top of your shopping cart checkout page directly below your logo. So you can type anything in here. And a lot of times clients don't know what they want, which is perfectly fine, right? But what I would recommend is you could leave it blank and then run through it and come back and make changes. So for instance, let me see here. I'm going to jump over to products real quick just to show you. So here's our shopping cart right now, okay? But it's using the storefront, so it looks a little bit different than, say, my shopping cart would look because I don't use the storefront. But you can see here's the coupon code right here, right? Now from here, I would actually have to hit checkout, okay? And then there's the billing information here, okay? All this information. So you can see here's the I give Techie Minute permission, right? Remember that's that email, okay? And here's additional information that how did you hear from us? I mean, all of this stuff has been added to this astrological sign. I was playing with this. And there you go. And then there's the Techie Minute, okay? So just trying to show you what it is that we're working on. Okay, so that's all that. Now off to Customer Portal. I'm just, like I said, just kind of going down the list. Now, Customer Portal was the thing that I said for any kind of membership programs that people could automatically be allowed to log into the Customer Portal and make changes themselves versus having to send an email to Donna saying, okay, my credit card's going to expire, or I'd like to change my billing date, or I'd like to cancel my membership, right? Pretty simple. All you have to do is activate it here, right? And then here's your customer registration page and your portal page. This is, again, just straight text. Okay, or I take that back. It's actually HTML. So you can put some HTML code in there if you wanted. And that's it. Okay, and we'll look at the customer portal as we go through. But if you use any type of membership programs, this is a great thing for you to turn on. Otherwise, it's not relevant. Okay. Now I know you can't see where it says setup, but that's what I'm clicking on. Site links. This is a great place to go for just your basic sites, your links for everything. So here's how to refer a friend. Here's how to add it to a cart, quick cart, checkout, order forms. Here's your customer portal. Remember how I said the customer portal, I turned it on? This is where they would actually log into the customer portal, right? And be able to log in. And that's where they would change any of their recurring information, okay? Here's the sign in. So this is again where they would sign in. The last one was to register. This is the sign in. And these links are relevant if you're going to be using these different things because you'd want to send people this information. Here's how they can sign up for the affiliate program. So here's your affiliate sign up form. So this is just a great place for you to go to get your codes and your links for specific things. So if you're like, okay, well, you know what? I need someone to take a look at one of my order forms. So there's an order form. And again, I'm using the storefront, so that's why you're seeing this. And then link configurations, you can actually create up to 25 custom product links. So you can have specific links. So for instance, if I click on edit here, okay, you can actually create some buttons. Okay, so I can have a button. Now, by the way, the shopping cart comes with buttons, but this is if you wanted to do some fun buttons. You can see that you have all these different buttons that you can choose from. Look at all these. Okay, so I could choose a button. And then I can go down here, excuse me, and I can determine what the button's for. And this is great if you have affiliates because you can send them a button with their content behind. So we'll go into this more, but I just wanted to show you what this is. And I can save that and go back. So that would allow you to actually put specific or create specific type of buttons for different things. So you could have a button. I could create a new button, right? And I can say it's a graphical button. And I'll say, I want, well, let's log in. By the way, you can choose add to cart or subscribe, right? You can choose medium or large. And I want sign up. So I could choose this one, right? And then I could save it. Oops, helps if I put a name in. But like for instance, this could be for the customer portal. And the benefit to this is that you create a button and then you could just send them a button and say, okay, if you want to be part of my customer portal, you can click this button and we'll take, you know, we'll do what needs to be done. Did I save it? Okay. And then go back, right? So now I have my customer portal and then I can easily edit it from here. Okay, and down here's the advanced options of what I can do in the link behavior. Where does it go? Does it send it to a specific URL? And if it sends it to a specific URL, then I would obviously need the URL, for instance, to register for that customer portal. Okay, not something that's used very often, but that's something they've just added. So that's what site links are. Okay, let's talk about digital products. When it comes to digital products in One Shopping Cart, you have what's called a digital library. Now, this is something that they have added over time as well. So this is kind of something that's a little bit new. But with digital products, this is anything that's a digital product that you sell, whether it's an online course or a document or an audio. It's something that's delivered digitally. And this is the beauty of the shopping cart, is because you can deliver it. So after the purchase is complete, right? They've paid for it, it's complete, then an autoresponder will be kicked off automatically by the system that creates a dynamic link for them to download the product that they purchased. And you can set the link expiration and the number of times something can be downloaded. So you can keep it from being forwarded to others and people getting hands on your products for not paying, without paying for them. So that's the beauty of the digital products. So within the digital products, you have two things. You have the digital vault. And the digital vault is what holds your digital items. So anything that's, like I said, it can be an audio, a video. In this instance, it's just PDF files, okay? And for instance, I'm just gonna, you can remove one of these very easily by just clicking the checkbox there. And all this is, this allows you to upload. So you basically want to come into the digital vault and you want to upload a file. So I'm just going to browse. I know I have a PDF file I can use. Let's see what's on my desktop. Anything? Looking for something good here. Well, let's just put this one in here. Okay, this is a document. And by the way, you can put documents in here as well. Used to be you could only put PDFs, but you can see I have this online course roadmap in here. So now I can actually click on the pencil. You can change the name of it as well, or you can simply remove it. But realize that in order for you to deliver a digital product, it has to be part of the digital vault. Okay. Now, back to digital products and go into digital goods settings. This is where you have the settings, which I love. This is where you can tell it, the system, when it generates the links, the rules, okay? So in other words, digital download links expire in number of minutes, number of hours, days, months, years. So what I usually do is 24 hours. And what happens is someone will purchase something. If they don't download it immediately, then within 24 hours when they click on the link, it'll say it's expired. Then they have to send us an email saying, well, I clicked on the link, it had expired. What I found is most people, when they purchase something, they download it immediately. But you want to put some kind of expiration on here so people aren't just constantly, forwarding, not that they would, but people do, forward that email to somebody else and allow them to download the product for free. You can also do a number of downloads. So you can say, okay, you can download this just twice, which means in this instance, you can only download it twice and it expires in 24 hours. So it's an and or. So if I remove this, then it's only 2. But I like the link to expire and after a number download. Very important. Do not leave these blank because then you're just giving free will to everybody. They can just continue to forward it and people can get your products and services or your clients' products and services for free. Okay. And then you have some additional information, your digital download. Here's your download instructions. And you can make this a little bit larger if you want here. Whoops. You have to grab the corner. There we go. Download instructions, right? Click on a link. So this tells them exactly what to do. And you can change this, by the way, if you want. I again, just leave it. And then if you're going to have any type of digital license, which is not something that's common unless your clients sell software. Okay, so when you purchase software, you sign up for any type of a program, a lot of times there might be licensing involved. So this would be the licensing information, your label, password, and it is username and password, any additional email that you would want them to have at the bottom and top, and then save. Okay, so when it comes to digital downloads, right, you have two things. You have to put it in the digital vault, so you must upload anything that you want to deliver digitally in here. Okay. And the second thing is that you want to make sure you set it up so it either expires after a specific time frame and or after a certain number of downloads. And that will keep people from, just getting the information from free. Okay, make sense? So that's digital products. Okay. Domain masking. This allows you to domain. Now, This has to do with masking your domain when you're using the storefront. Okay, so this isn't something that's always needed. And basically all this does is, instead of having this mcssl.com, which is the URL for one shopping cart, you could mask the domain so it looks like http://techieminter.com. I haven't actually done this, but basically what you have to do is you have to actually install a script on your domain. So that's the only thing I haven't done. So basically what you would do, if you want to specify the domain and mask it so you can't tell that it's the shopping cart, so it doesn't say mcssl, it says techieminter.com, you're going to come in here and you're going to type in the URL, and you have to walk through this. Then you have to install the script on your domain. Okay, so you would download the script here by right-clicking on it, right, and downloading it, right-click and save, whether it's PHP or ASP. So I would save it as, right, and put on my desktop, for instance. Okay, there it is. So now what I'd have to do is I'd have to upload that to my server, which means I have to go over to the hosting site, log into the cPanel, go to the root of my website, and upload this file I just downloaded. So there's some extra steps in this if you want to mask the domain. And that's why I haven't done this one. It's not done. But you would have to do this for clients. And the reason you do this is because, again, you want people to think they're staying on your website, even though they're using a secure location. You've just masked. In other words, you just mask this URL to say techieminter.com, right? Then I go next. Choose the links you want to mask, or you want the shopping cart, the affiliate, ad tracker, all of them. And then save. Now this isn't done because, again, it's not able to verify, so that's why I'm getting this nice red little note here. I actually would have to run this first in order for this to work, okay? So this is something that I disabled, so it's not a problem. But that's what domain masking is. A few clients used it, most of them didn't. Okay. Gateway. This is one of the most important things that you have to do when you set up a shopping cart, is set up the payment gateway. A payment gateway is how clients get paid when somebody purchases a product or service. Pretty simple, right? Very, very important though, okay? And there's some things in here that you have to do. So let's just kind of talk through this. So this is your gateway setup, okay? So you can see here I have several different options. And remember, the only thing that doesn't work in this shopping cart is the payment gateway, because I'm not going to put my credit card information in here. And if you guys want to put yours in and try it out, by all means do so, but take it out when you're done, right? Okay, so you can see here, you can use Simplify, you can use a payment gateway, you can do offline, and you can disable altogether. Well, disable is not going to help you if you're going to use a shopping cart, right? If you want to be paid online, then disable is not the option, okay? So you have the ability to apply for this Simplify Commerce by MasterCard. You have a payment gateway. Offline allow you to process credit cards using an offline terminal, like your merchant account. So if you use like Authorize.net, which is a big merchant account, they have a virtual terminal. PayPal has a virtual terminal, which means you can run the credit cards virtually by not putting it through your credit card, or not putting it through your shopping cart. So that may not be something you want either. But realize if you're going to run offline payments, you have to have that structure set up, which means you're using PayPal to do it, or you're using some type of payment gateway or an Authorize.net or other merchant account to do it, and they have the setup for you. So you have to go there to do it. So the payment gateway, if you already have a merchant account, this is the one that you want to select. So this is if you want to use PayPal or any of the things that I talked about. So if you have a gateway, you're ready to get paid, this is the one that you want. So you're going to hit edit. Now, you need to realize that when it says select gateway, there's over 50 of them in here. Can you see these? These are the ones that One Shopping Cart recognizes. Okay, I use PayPal. So I mean, people have said, well, you can't use PayPal with One Shopping Cart. Yeah, you can. I do all the time. So some people will just start with PayPal. Other people may use other things like Authorize.net, right? So if you choose something, the screen's going to change. See how it changed? So each one of these gateways has a specific thing that they're looking for. And they also have the ability to get setup help. So my point to you is I can't teach you what you need on every one of these. It's dependent upon the option that you choose, the gateway that you choose. PayPal is one of the more common ones. Authorize.net is another. But basically, you go through the list, you grab the one that you want. I'll just choose WorldPay, for instance. Again, the screen updates. So your Gateway ID merchant login, this is for WorldPay, which means you have to have that login information in order to set this up. You have to know the Authorize.net, the WorldPay, the PayPal. You have to have that information in order to complete the gateway. So that's very important, okay? So again, depending on the gateway, depends on the options. And then for instance, here's what credit cards do you want to accept, okay? And then what other type do you want? Remember, each gateway is different. Authorize and capture, authorize only. Authorize and capture means it captures their credit card. Authorize only means it just authorizes the payment, okay? So I'm going to go to PayPal just because it's one of the more common ones. Okay, now here's PayPal. Okay, a couple things. What's your PayPal email? So that's the actual email address that they use for PayPal. The symbol and the currency. And Mary, does it allow multiple payment gateways? No, it does not. One shopping cart allows one payment gateway only. Infusionsoft, Ontraport, they allow multiple payment gateways, but this one's just one. Good question. Okay, and you know what? I'm sure that they'll probably change that over time, but right now, that's the way it stands. Okay, enable PayPal PDT, which is called payment data transfer. So these are things you have to ask your clients about because this is the information that you need. So for instance, if you wanted to enable payment data transfer, you would click here and it would take you to a screen, which I love. These screens are great. And this will tell you if you have an existing PayPal, if you have a personal versus a business, exactly what you need to do. You have to follow these to the letter because you have to make sure that you set it up on both sides. So when you're setting up a payment gateway, I think the most important thing you have to understand is it's two sides to the story. You have to set it up in shopping cart, but you also have to set up the gateway as well. Right? You have to set up PayPal or Authorize.net or WorldPay. There's two sides to this. And if you only set up one side, right, the second side's not going to work. So it's a two-sided story. You have to do both sides, okay? So, okay, what credit cards do you want to offer? Right, I can say I only want those two. Right, you can choose any additional ones. And then do you want to offer e-checks? And e-checks, as I said, is a way for people to pay through an e-check, and it takes an extra amount of time to clear. It's not an immediate transfer like it is with PayPal. You can turn that offer on if you want. That would be something you'd want to ask your client. And then here's the big thing, guys. I would always recommend turning on the recurring payment feature. Here's what has happened to me and to several other people that I know of. Your clients all of a sudden decide they want to start taking recurring payments, but they have all the recurring payment features set up in one shopping cart, but they forgot to set up the recurring payment features for their gateway. When it comes to accepting recurring payments, you have to set it up in one shopping cart, you have to set it up in the payment gateway in one shopping cart, and you have to set it up on the other side. So you have to set it up in PayPal or Authorize.net or WorldPay. So when it comes to recurring payments, there's several places that you have to make sure that you do it. The most important is in this screen right here, as well as the other side of the screen, which would be, PayPal, WorldPay, and so on. So notice it says here, if you want to accept recurring payments, which means, monthly subscriptions, you want to check this box. And then it says here, you have to follow these instructions. You have to do what's on the screen right here. You have to go through and set this up exactly as it shows you how to do it. It gives you screenshots, which I love. All of this stuff is done for you, okay? If you don't do this, then your recurring payments won't work, which means it'll look like it goes through, but the clients are never charged. And so you're not getting the income from that recurring payment feature. So make sure that you do. And you know what I do by default? I just set it up to be ready for recurring payments. And that way, if the client says, okay, I do want to do recurring payments, it's automatically done for you. All you have to do is make sure that you just simply tell the product that it is recurring and give it the recurring information. Because you can set up a recurring product in one shopping cart, but if you don't set up the recurring payment features, it doesn't work. Does that make sense to everybody? That's so important because I've had so many people, including myself when I first started, not do the other half of it, and it didn't work, okay? All right, so remember, you have to do both sides of the coin here, and then you would hit done, okay? And I would hit save. So realize if you have a payment gateway already, so you have your merchant account, PayPal, or whatever it might be, then you basically come in here and edit. This right here, these are for you to apply for some credit card information, right? not credit card information, merchant account information. This is if you're doing it offline, which means you need to have the ability to do it offline, which would be a virtual terminal, and this would disable it altogether. Okay. You also have this alternate payment screen. This would allow you to do, MasterCard, and then ACS. This would be check processing. Now, with checks, it's different, right? There's really not much you can do. It just says you're allowed to take them, but you have to have another terminal outside of One Shopping Cart in order for you to take those. Okay? Makes sense? To me, that's the most important thing, is this payment gateway. Make sure that you set it up for recurring payments so you don't have issues down the road. Okay? And we're getting close to being done. So the media library is another place that you can store media. And media in here, it can be PDFs, it can be images, it can be audio files. And it's specific about what type of information it wants to upload. This is a great place to keep images that you use in templates within One Shopping Cart, which we'll look at. Also downloads that you can download directly. This is not the same as the digital download. The digital download or the digital vault is for sales, selling a digital product. This is for storing any other type of images, kind of like the media library in WordPress. This is the media library for One Shopping Cart. And you can see I've got all kinds of stuff here. I also have folders, so you can organize this. Like I have one for logos, right? So these are all the different logos I have. You can create folders very easily. So I could create a folder called template, and this is just to keep everything nice and organized, which I recommend that you do. Whoop, what happened to it? Did it not work? For some reason, it's giving me a hiccup. It's not letting me do it. Well, you basically create folder. It must just be a hiccup. Let me see. Well, for whatever reason, it's not working, but it does normally work. You would create the folder, and then, as I said, you can open a folder very easily. And then to upload, you basically click upload, and you would just choose the file. Now, the one thing I do want to point out to you are these are the extensions that it accepts. It does not accept documents or Excel files. They have to be an image, a zip, a PDF, or these last ones here are some type of executable file. Okay, you can upload 25 megabytes, and you could hit choose file. And I'll just go in and you can grab multiple files and brings it in, and I upload it. There it is right here. So now you can click on it and you can download it, you can view it. And then there is a link that it automatically generates that you can use, just like the links you get in WordPress. It's links that you can generate and put in things like templates in here, which we'll dive into more next week. Okay. Then you also have the ability to make, changes to things. So, oh, there's Susan and template. It was just kind of slow, so I can delete this, right? I can easily rename something, right? I can copy, I can paste, check all, check out. You can also zip up things directly in here, okay? You can also, like I said, move. So if I want to take some of these things right here, I can cut those, right? And then I can put them under paste, paste them. So this is really helpful if you just want to store images or PDF files for downloads and things like templates, which we'll look at next week, but that's what the media library is, okay? Very handy. Attributes. Okay, when we get into products a little more in the coming weeks. An attribute is something that you can add to a product. Okay, so an attribute can be something like a size or a color. So if you sell t-shirts, for instance, you could choose, okay, do I want to do a specific color? Do I want to do a specific size? That's where you let the audience, the purchaser, if you will, determine the size, the color. Maybe they have a specific graphic that they want. And so we're going to come back to attributes when we start working in products, because that's what they're relevant for. And you'll be able to see how they work, okay? Third-party integrations. So this is if you want to, QuickBooks, you can actually do very easy import-export from QuickBooks. Google Analytics, if you want to do that. Fulfillment services, Virtual Media is a fulfillment house similar to Vervante. There's no membership software, then there's custom integration. So this is just specific things if you want to integrate with third-party tools. And then the setup wizard. This is something that automatically kicks off the first time you come in, and what it allows you to do is go step by step through adding your business, adding products, choosing a template, setting up shipping, taxes, and your payment methods, okay? And that will kick off. I'll just skip it. Okay, so we got through the little icon here, which shows us kind of an overview of everything. We went through my account. We got all the way through setup, which is great. We normally don't get that far. You guys are kind of quiet. So hopefully I haven't overwhelmed you with all of the goodies that I've showed you. So let's jump back over to here. And so the configuration, okay, all of this stuff. Now we're going to come back and we'll do email setup. Well, let me see. We might need to do that now. Nope, we don't. Okay, we will do email setup next week when we start talking more about email and all of the things that go with that. So any questions on all the things that we just kind of went through? Because what I'm going to invite you to do is just kind of play in there in the sandbox, and you can make whatever changes you want to it. It's fine. Because remember, there's no payment gateway, so it doesn't matter if you fool around in there. But I do invite you to spend some time going through the PayPal setup, looking at the help menu, understanding what needs to be done on the other side, because you will have clients that need recurring payments, and it's a really good thing to have in your back pocket to understand how that works. So really today is just to get in and explore. The login information is in the library at the very bottom of the page. Use any one of the 4 logins. Now you are sharing the logins, but I've never really had any problems with people being at the exact same time with the exact same login. If 2 people try to use the same login, then you'll get kicked out. You're like, where did I go? It's because it's a database, right? And it only holds specific information, and only one person can be in at the same time. So we went through all the setup and all the configuration goodies, and we talked about the homework. So what questions do you have? No questions? Did you guys find this helpful today? Excuse me, I'm trying not to sneeze. Mary, good. Shannon, good. Like I said, I know it's a lot of information, but now at least you'll have a starting point where you can go through and actually kind of walk through all of those different screens and really get a feel for what they do. And like I said, don't be afraid to play, because this is a sandbox. You're not going to break anything. Okay? Better to do it here than do it in a client's. A working sandbox, I should say. Any other questions? I will add some screenshots of what my one shopping cart menus look like so you can see the difference. Mine does not have the storefront, so that's really the biggest difference. And it's not something that I need, so I haven't worried about changing it. All right, well, if I can be of any assistance, you feel free to post in the Facebook group or send me an email, help@techiementor.com, and I will see you guys next week as we continue to dive deeper into One Shopping Cart. Have a great week. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.